So having the camera so low is actually very cool because you get so much of that parallax going on behind me. And this is only a 35mm lens on a Micro Four Thirds system. I think with this setup, you can get very creative when you think outside of the box and get some very unique shots for your music videos, short films, and commercials. We're gonna test out the wide angle lenses. So I have a Lumix 9mm lens, the f1.8. It's a really good prime 4D Micro Four Thirds sensor, but then we're also gonna jump into tighter lenses. So I have the 12 to 35mm, which is equivalent to 24 to 70 on a full frame sensor. Okay, so let's get to work. Let's set up the 360 Pro rig. Traveling with this rig is actually quite easy. I've packed it into the car many times. It does take a little bit of space, but I think it's definitely worth it for those dedicated 360 shots. So there's three parts to it. You have this main rod together with the metal plate. That comes out on the right side, and the weight with the other metal piece comes out on the other. So you're basically taking three different pieces, the two rods on the side, and also the main plate with the bearings. So this entire kit here comes as a package. The only extra additional accessory you could get is an extension pole. And I think it's very necessary to actually have this because this kit does extend, of course. You have double the width, but once you put this straight and you get on top of the rig, you're not able to get head height shots. You're only able to get low angle shots. So having this extra piece is actually really handy. Once this screws on, you put on the pen and tilt head on that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we take the Allen key and we're going to unlock this lock over here. Once we unlock that, we can position the pole lower or higher. I kind of like to keep it in a higher position, but still get a little bit of distance away from the subject that's standing on the 360 rig. And usually with a smaller setup like a GH6 or S5 Mark II and a transmitter, you'll be fine to put it on the end of the extension. And just by having a 2.5 kg weight on the other side, this rig will not tip over. But if you have a heavy rig, which I've done before, I've put a FX6 with an anamorphic lens on this side. I'd recommend always keep an eye on it, always have one hand on the rig when you're not filming a shot. Once your model or talent gets onto the rig, you're fine to let go of it because there's more weight on the rig. But if someone steps off of the rig, make sure you're holding it just in case. So for bigger setups, I would also recommend not extending this part all the way to the ends, especially with this extension pole. That can give quite a bit of weight on this side. So in that case, just go back a little bit. Same with light stands. I would never put them up all the way to the very ends. Give them a little bit of room to actually have some more grip. As you can see right here, it's not like a super level ground because we're in the middle of a forest. So the spinning might not be like perfectly same speed all the way around. If you're in a studio environment, the setup will work even better than here. So the best thing to do if you're operating a camera by yourself and you actually want to be in the video is to use app control for your camera. So I'm using the Lumix Sync app, which allows me to basically connect to my camera via Wi-Fi and control it, record, and I can also set my focus through the app as well. The most important setting to change on your camera, and that applies to Lumix, Sony, and all the other brands, is turn off your image stabilization in camera. And that's because that's gonna counteract and not really work together with the 360 rig. So rather than getting smoother footage, you're actually gonna end up with more jerky and weird looking footage. So turn off image stabilization on your lens and on your camera. And because the bearings on this 360 rig are so smooth, we're gonna get very smooth shots. Okay, so what we're gonna do is roll the camera. You don't wanna push it too hard, especially with the extension. It could create some wobble. So what you want to do is you want to just gently start pushing it and push it faster and faster until you get it to spin. And then you're getting some really cool 360 shots. You can also do it with your foot, basically just spin it, kick it backwards. So the reason why I like this extension right here is that it allows us to get the camera a lot higher. It's more of a natural sort of an angle. That's something you would film most of the time. I did use this rig without having the extension pole. And basically I had to have the talent sit down. And that way I was able to have the camera eye level, but still get the nice background. All right, so what we're gonna be using now is the 12 to 35mm GH6 lens. This is a 2.8 lens. So it's gonna be a lot darker than the f1.7 9mm prime, but we are gonna get some nice zoom range out of this one. So you can position this setup in many different ways. If the camera is not too heavy, you can actually extend it like this. So let's try this shot. Gonna roll the GH6, give it a little bit of a push. And let's switch to the 9mm. So this is gonna get us the most wide angle sort of a shot. So let's roll it, let's see how that looks like. All right, I think this looks epic. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at this 360 camera setup. I think it's very cool for music videos, short films, and commercial shoots. You can get a variety of different shots, and you have a lot of flexibility with how you set up the camera, the low angles, the high angles, and everything in between. Let me know what you guys think about this camera rig, and I'll see you in the next one.